downtown Charlotte. We will spend 15 minutes with head coach Mike Elko, and then 5 minutes each with our student athletes that are joining him on stage.
Oh, wow.
As we have done in the past, if we could have you identify yourselves and the agency that you are with, that will help everybody get acclimated. And our first question will come, Coach, on the right side, third row, and we're going to get the microphone right over here to our guy. The microphone is there, and we are off and rolling.
Hello, Coach. Royal Howell, Carolina Blitz. I want to focus on the defense. The defense last year, specifically the secondary, 200 yards on the ground, 300 through the air, 50 points per game during ACC play. How do you plan to revamp the defense? A lot of it seemed to be miscommunication on the back end, players giving up on plays. How do you plan to turn the whole Duke program around?
Yeah, I don't know how much time we spent going back watching last year. Obviously, we know the stats and we know the results. I think we just kind of came in and started to establish our culture. I think we've done that a lot over the years defensively and the different places I've been where you change the philosophy, you change the demeanor, you change the temperament, you kind of change everything you're trying to do in your culture. And we focused a lot of our time and energy on that. And I think what you'll see, this year is just the starting point of that. Us building a culture, a foundation for how we want to play defense and what we want Duke football to look like moving forward.
Coach, up the center aisle to your left, sir, if you will please stand.
Scout Hughes, WBRF. Coach, welcome to the ACC, and how satisfied were you with the 3-5-5 model with your three permanent opponents, Wake Forest, North Carolina, and Wake Forest?
Yeah, I mean, it's such
NC State.
it's such a great thing for our fan base and our school. Anytime you can keep those traditional rivalries in state, get an opportunity to play all three of our in-state opponents every year, I just think that brings a lot of energy and excitement to football in the state of North Carolina. I think we always looked at it a little bit odd that those three teams didn't play each other as much under the previous scheduling model. So, it'll be nice to bring NC State onto the schedule, get an opportunity to play another of the Triangle schools, and just kind of keep that going as the years to come.
Coach, right in front of you on your left, front row.
Coach Dan Tortora, wakeupcalldt.com, coming in to this team this season. Just what you can say about what you took away from the 4 seasons with Jimbo Fisher as defensive coordinator at Texas A&M and how you can move that over into leading this program.
Yeah, I think I've had a lot of unique experiences over the years, and certainly the last 4 working with Jimbo, and he had a lot of background in high-level football, Florida State, ACC, being at Texas A&M and the SEC the last 4 years. I just think it really helped me kind of refine who I was as a coach. When you're in that pressure cooker and the stakes are as high as they were at times for us, you just kind of take your game to a new level. I think I walked away from that experience really prepared, to come into Duke and kind of build this program and build this culture the way we want to do it.
Still on the left side, third row.
Bob Holliday, WL.com. Coach, you've had experience coaching in the Coastal Division before when you were a defensive coordinator at Wake Forest. What's different about the Coastal Division now versus before, and kind of what's your assessment of the teams in this league?
Yeah, it's funny because it's been hard to get an assessment, right? Because there's been so much turnover. We've got 4 new head coaches in the league this year. It's been hard to get a really deep dive into the off-season studies. I think it's going to be as wide open as the Coastal Division has been over the years. I think this might really go out with a bang this year. Just so much new flavor, so much new scheme, philosophy, people, and obviously I think what we're doing at Duke is completely different also. And so I just think we're in a position now to really, end this year with a really crazy year in the Coastal and see what happens.
Coach, same gentleman where we started first, third row, right side.
Royal Howell, Carolina Blitz. Coach, Commissioner Phillips yesterday spoke on regulating the NIL. I just want to get your thoughts on the NIL and how it's basically changed collegiate athletics.
Yeah, I think everybody was in agreement, right, that the players had to get something. I think, if you poll coaches, their ability to make something off of the game of college football was something I think we were all in favor of, and certainly I was. I think everybody likes regulatory as opposed to wide open. I just think that's human nature, and so I think a lot of us would love for there to be some set of guidelines, some set of rules, some set of standard regulations that we can provide our student athletes with the things that they deserve and the things that they've earned and certainly are entitled to, just in some type of uniform way across the sport, so it's a little bit more competitively equitable as you go from state to state, from conference to conference. I think those are the things that are just a little bit unique about it right now.
Let's go back to the first row and Dan right in front of you.
To this team and having a quarterback like Riley Leonard obviously vying for the job. So we can say about the quarterback battle and specifically about Riley, what you've taken away from his skill set at this point.
Yeah, it was a unique thing in the spring. We've got two kids finishing their freshman year, Riley Leonard obviously one of them and Jordan Moore the other, and they end their first year, new system, new scheme, new way to practice, new way to do everything, and you put them out there and you kind of ask them to compete for the job. And we certainly saw some highlights from both guys, Riley included. But I think what we need this camp is a little bit more consistency. I think we'll get that. They've had great summers, both of them. They're great kids. They've worked extremely hard, and we're just really looking forward to them in fall camp consistently being themselves. I think they're way more comfortable with what we're doing schematically now. They've got a better pulse on what we're trying to get accomplished, and so I think we'll get a much better quarterback product in fall camp, and ultimately that battle will get decided somewhere around the opener.
Coach, to your right, just about the seventh row.
Connor O'Neill with Devils Illustrated. Mike, you've been a head coach now for about 8 months. I'm curious if there's anything that has kind of surprised you about being in this position after being a defensive coordinator for so long, or anything that you didn't see that was maybe easier or harder than you thought going in?
Yeah, I don't know if there's anything necessarily that I would say was surprising. I just think, the volume that falls into the head coaching chair. I don't know as an assistant if you ever truly can understand that, and not that you didn't know and not that you didn't have people tell you and prepare you for it, but when you get in that chair for the first time and you really go into undertaking all that is in running a college football program, I think there's some learning curves for sure, but it's been an enjoyable experience for sure for the last 8 months, building this infrastructure at Duke and getting this program set up to the level that we want it moving forward.
Coach, left side towards the double doors.
Coach, Candace Cooper here, Locked On ACC. Want to know what you feel about these players. How have you gotten an impression from them, the guys who stayed around after Coach Cutcliffe left? How have you been impressed by the way they decided to return and play for you?
Yeah, it's been an unbelievable culture shift for us. A lot of times when you take over a new program, you get a lot of resistance, you get a lot of fight back. I think these three guys on the stage with me kind of represent our entire program, and that they've just done an amazing job buying into what we're trying to do. We've asked them to do a lot of different things, not necessarily better, worse, just different, and I think they've kind of jumped at the opportunity, really had a lot of fun with what we were trying to do, and have just kind of bought into the fact that we're going to try to get this program as successful as we can be, as quick as we can be, and I think they're certainly all in to do that.
Coach, a question from the podium. You put in place a position entitled Recruiting General Manager. Take us through the combination of those words and exactly what Derek Miller's responsibilities have been since coming on in January.
Yeah, obviously recruiting is the lifeblood of our program, and I think as we've transitioned into the modern era of college football, especially at a school like Duke, we're trying to recruit national, we're trying to get ourselves marketed all over the country, and you kind of need somebody in your office that's doing recruiting 24/7, right? You've got an offensive coordinator that's kind of doing offense, defensive coordinator doing defense. Derek kind of serves in the role of recruiting 24/7, right? And he's got a team that works with him every day, and obviously in conjunction with our plan and our vision. But you just need somebody recruiting every minute of every day, and that's the role that Derek takes. And it's been very productive for us so far in the 23 class. We're real excited about what we're doing.
To the right side, seventh row or so.
Can you hear me? Oh,
Now I can.
There it is. Hey, Coach, David Thompson from USA Today Network. I'm just curious, how do you get your fan base to buy into this football program after the last few years?
Yeah, I think it's a couple of things. I think one, we've got to engage them. I think we've done a really good job and a really intentional job with our social media department and social media team to create a presence of Duke football that people in the Research Triangle and in the Durham community see every day. I think that's really important. I think we've got to do the same thing on our campus with our student community and our faculty and get them the same way, our alumni base the same way. And then I just think we've got to provide a product and an experience that people want to be part of. I think when people come to a Duke football game, we want them to walk away and be like, yeah, I had a great time. That was a great experience. I want to come back. I want to do that again. We watched a team that competed, that had a lot of passion, that had a lot of energy about playing for Duke. I want to get behind those guys. I want to get behind this coach. I want to get behind this program. And I think as we do that, it kind of snowballs, to ultimately where we've got a game day environment that we're very proud of and that our alumni base can be very proud of as well.
Coach, left side, second row right in front of you.
Justin Jones, CarolinaGridiron.com. Coach, you were able to bring in some new staff with you, but how important was it to keep some existing staff like Trooper Taylor on to really get some continuity in the Blue Devil football program?
Yeah, I think anytime you're putting a staff together, you're trying to find the most diverse staff you can in terms of who they are as people, where they come from, their experiences, where they've coached. And then you want to have some guys that our kids have a certain level of familiarity or with. And Trooper did such an amazing job in the interim as they were going through the process of trying to identify the new coach and ultimately me getting in there and getting my feet underneath me. And so it just felt like he was the right fit. And certainly over the last 6 months of him working with us, it's been great. I mean, Trooper's got a lot of energy. He's an amazing coach, does a great job with our guys, and we're real excited we've got him.
Coach, your last question will come from the third row, once again to your left, Bob Holliday.
Yeah.
Coach, Duke ran the ball really effectively last year, but had trouble finding the end zone, largely because of turnovers. Turnovers, in fact, have killed this program for the last 2 or 3 seasons. Is there a mental process to eradicating turnovers? How do you cut back on those?
Yeah, I mean, that's been an enormous emphasis point for us since spring ball started. I think if you look at the history of Duke football, the last time we had a positive turnover margin was 2014, and it was 2013-14 were our 2 best years, which were the 2 best years of Duke football in recent history. And so I think we've done a lot to try to get our kids educated on, not only how important it is, but also how they happen and how we can create them. I think turnovers, if you look year in and year out, are the single biggest factor in wins and losses. And so I think it's just establishing a mentality of how important it is, how valuable those things are, to not only not have them, but also to create them with your defense and to put yourself in more positions to have a positive turnover margin and be successful.
Coach, thank you. We'll have you switch places with Dwayne Carter.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Spend about 5 minutes with our redshirt junior defensive tackle. And immediately hands in the air, Dwayne, so you're going to be a popular guy. To the left, second row, right here on the edge.
Tommy Lechione, Carolina Gridiron. Dwayne, you led the conference in forced fumbles this past season. What steps have you taken in the offseason to keep that up and improve upon that number?
Yeah, so good things happen when you swarm to the ball. So it's kind of like the culture we're trying to create here at Duke. So it kind of starts in our foundation, weight room. So one thing we do specifically is when we finish our warm-up drills, conditioning drills, whatever it is, if you don't finish at least 2 yards behind the line, you're going back and doing it again, because that's just a standard we want to create. So a lot of times, like you talk about forced fumbles and turnovers and things of that nature, it just comes from extra effort on the field. So that's kind of where we're starting at.
So right in front of him, Dwayne.
Dwayne, Dan Tortora, wakeupcalldt.com. Coach Elko, coming into this program like he was talking about 8 months ago, what have you seen as far as the positive difference thus far?
Yeah, so I mean, it's been a lot of positive change, and honestly, the biggest thing and worry for me, being a vet in the program now, was kind of like how the transition was going to go, right? So it's been very smooth. We've laid a good foundation, and most importantly, like the best positive change is it's really like a player and coach relationship, partnership almost. So like it's positive, like we're working together. Like he said, he just got into being the head coach, was it 8 months ago? So we're working together, trying to figure out what works best for this program, what we're going to do to win, and how, most importantly, we can be successful on and off the field.
Dwayne, to your right, the third row.
Royal Howell, Carolina Blitz. Can you just speak on implementing the freshmen within the Duke program, that you guys will not be having a losing mentality, losing attitude, and mediocrity is just not accepted? Can you just speak on that, please?
Yeah, most definitely. So, I mean, it's kind of easier this year because it's a whole new staff, right? So we're kind of all freshmen in the sense that it's a new program, it's a new camp, it's a new style of play, it's a new defense, it's a new scheme. So it's kind of we're in it all together, which in years before, you know what to expect as an older guy coming in, you know how things go. So we're all learning together. So the freshmen are they're engaged, they're excited, and most importantly, they just can't wait to get out there on the field.
Dwayne, a question here from the podium. You were academic all-ACC last year. So what's the secret in blending academics and athletics?
Yeah, so really it's about your priorities. It's about your priorities. So, I mean, time management, of course, plays a huge role, but you got to prioritize what you can. So as a student athlete, especially a football student athlete, we have meetings, film watching. I mean, we have a numerous schedule, but also at the end of the day, we get to go home. You got to make your priorities. You can either hop on the video game or you can take your naps, but you got to get your homework in there at some point. So it kind of goes from my home background as well. My mom always told me, you got to have it up here as well as on the field. So that's kind of where that stemmed from.
Also here from the podium, we always know it's one game at a time, but how far into a schedule do you look at a season to get your mind straight?
In terms of like just opponents?
I'll let you answer how it is you think you'd like to.
All right, so as far as, I mean, really, we take it 1 week at a time. That's cliche, that's the basic answer, but in order to be successful, you got to take it one game at a time, because if you overlook an opponent, they'll sneak up on you. If you underlook an opponent, same thing, you won't be as successful as you can. So you got to put your all into preparation for each week, 1 week at a time.
Thank you. Other questions for Dwayne from the floor? I've still got a couple left that I could offer, but I'd much rather hear from folks in the grand ballroom. Dwayne, I'll keep rocking on mine. On July 8th, your Twitter post had you showing some pretty solid dance moves. Who taught you to dance?
I like to claim that I'm self-taught. Honestly, I watch a lot of videos. You know, I'm a big TikTok guy. So I've always been a dancing type of person. My parents, they can move a little bit. My dad will claim that he's the best dancer in the house, but unfortunately that's not true. Maybe back in the day, but you know, now I think I'm more self-taught than anything.
Thank you. We'll take it back to the front row with Dan once again.
Dwayne, going off of that, like you said, being a vet on this team, how do you all have fun? What is it off the field that you do to keep that camaraderie? Because when there's a coaching change, obviously that family has to stay strong and stay together. So how does Duke have fun?
Yeah, so I mean, how we have fun. So we're a stereotypical family, right? So we all have our roles. We have class clowns. We have this, we have that. But a lot of times our relationship building is just basically in the locker room after workouts, right? So you finish a hard run and there's like 10 guys laying out on the floor, and then some guys are laughing at them because some guys had a better day than others and things of that nature. So it's family building. We play a lot of video games. We hang out places. We just really just be in each other's presence. And that's the best way, because the best thing you can give somebody is your time. And that's the best way to get to know somebody.
Question from right behind him.
Justin Jones, Carolina Gridiron. Dwayne, you represented Duke and the ACC on the football oversight committee, student athlete connection group. In your opinion, what do you think is the most pressing issue facing NCAA football, both on the player level and on the institutional level?
So that's a great question. I mean, obviously a lot of the big topics right now are NIL and how there's not really a specific legislation. So that's a lot of our conversations are about NIL legislation, but of course we talk about different practice rules, and our biggest goal or like role in that committee is to speak on behalf of the players, right? So if we think like maybe an extra practice or so is beneficial for extra day in camp and off day, things of that nature. So there's not really one overarching issue, but the issue that we talk about the most has to be NIL legislation.
Dwayne, thank you. You can switch places now with Shaka.
Thank you.
We'll have him up for about 5 minutes or so. Folks, again, we will look into the room. Who would like a question for our redshirt senior linebacker? We'll go left side, third row for you, Shaka.
Bob Holliday, WRL.com. Shaka, you and your comrades on the Duke defense have had a couple difficult years. Talk about the excitement of this new system, and Coach talked about putting more emphasis on forcing turnovers. As a linebacker who's around the ball a lot, how do you feel about that philosophy?
Yeah, I feel great just taking a look at Coach Elko's history and what he's been able to do at his previous schools, Texas A&M, Notre Dame, Wake Forest. And obviously it does come down to the players and what we're willing to do, and obviously we're bought into the program, what he's teaching to us day in, day out. So we're excited.
Shaka, for the podium here, career-wise, you've got 26 and a half career tackles for losses. What makes you such a good ball hawk? What allows you to get there at that time each time?
As a lot of great linebackers, I would just say just having like a good instinct for finding the ball, watching film, obviously, and then just the fundamentals and doing what you're supposed to be coached to do.
Thank you. We'll get the microphone back to the first row right in front of you.
Dan Tortora, wakeupcalldt.com. Shaka, from your point of view, what life has been like having head coach here with you, Mike Elko, and the staff that's been brought in. What has the atmosphere been like, and how is it positively changing Duke football as we step forward?
Yeah, it's just a new energy, just a new, just different energy. Fresh start for everyone. And we're all just embracing it together. So it's just been fun embracing it with each other.
Shaka, again from the podium, you're majoring in evolutionary anthropology with a minor in psychology. What interests you about both of these fields?
For me, evolutionary anthropology, I just like studying the human body, you know, the way we function. That was just most interesting to me. So.
Thank you. Other questions for Shaka from out on the floor? We'll go to the right side, about 7th row back.
Hey Shaka, David Thompson, USA Today Network. Besides yourself, of course, who else do you see as the best linebackers in the ACC this year?
I would say Nick Jackson from Virginia, and Dax Holyfield. I would say those two.
Folks, anything else for Shaka? We'll have one right here to your left, 2nd row, right on the edge.
Justin Jones, CarolinaGridiron.com. Shaka, you were a candidate for the Lot Impact Trophy last year, and you're on the watch list again for this year. How does it make you feel personally to know that you are being recognized for both your on-field and off-the-field impact?
It feels good. We are athletes, but we're also more than athletes. We do things within our community day in and day out, and it's just nice to be recognized for something also like accommodating football.
Shaka, thank you. You can switch it up with Jacob, and we'll finish our time with Duke with our senior offensive lineman. Who wants their first crack with Jacob? Jacob, I'll ask it from here at the podium. Your father was a 4-year letter winner at Duke. What's it been like for you to also play for the Blue Devils?
It's really been a dream come true, growing up watching Duke football and seeing how the facilities have just changed from there being a track around the field when I was going to games to actually, running out of the tunnel on Saturdays. It's really a dream come true for real.
First row right in front of you to your left.
Dan Tortora, wakeupcalldt.com. Jacob, sometimes being an offensive lineman is a thankless job. What can you say about having that role and how you feel on this team leading it forward? And if being an offensive lineman for you has almost made a chip on your shoulder, knowing that the credit typically goes to quarterbacks and running backs, you don't always hear about the offensive line.
Really, it is whatever to me. I don't really need credit. I just enjoy playing the game of football. And, the biggest stat for an offensive lineman is a win. So that's just, what we work for each and every day.
Jacob, again, here at the podium. On July 1, you retweeted a Duke weight room video, and you added a one-word caption, and it read culture. What did you mean by that?
I feel like what that video stood for is how this culture has changed. There's been a high placement on competition right now. There's rewards for winning. There's consequences for losing. And, we're just learning how to love to win and hate to lose right now.
We'll get a microphone back to the 2nd row to your left.
Tom Ncaa, Carolina Gridiron. So much of the weight room stuff has been amplified on social media. How have you seen results from the weight room translate to on-field stuff throughout the spring and summer?
I'm sorry.
How have you seen production in the weight room translate to on-field, just because there's been such an emphasis on it all off-season?
It's just what we work for. Each and every day we work for results for on the field. We're going to see how that's going to turn out in August and September and throughout the season. But, that's the common goal is, just to work as hard as you can this summer, this spring, this winter for those results to show up in the fall.
Jacob, your last question. Fill in the blank for us. This will be a successful year for the O-line if
we're consistent. I think that we had a decent year last year. I feel like it's a good place to build off of. We're bringing back 4 of the 5 starters from last year, and we just need to be consistent in everything that we do. Consistently tough, consistently physical, communicate consistently, and I think we'll be in good shape.
Thank you very much. Good luck this season.
Thank you.
Enjoy the rest of your afternoon, folks. We have Georgia Tech due into the room at 1:30. Yellow Jackets at 1:30.